Hello everybody and welcome to the Fancy Sip Review. Today on the Fancy Sip Review, I'm going to be trying one of the newest products made by Lafayette, New York-based apple orchard, Beacon Skiff. The drink that I'm going to be reviewing today is going to be the Ayrloom CranApple. And Ayrloom is essentially what Beacon Skiff calls their THC-infused product lines. Whether it be tinctures or flour or gummies or these tasty beverages, Beacon Skiff has you covered for anything that you could possibly want that is THC infused. Now, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, so I'm just going to say THC infused. But Beacon Skiff has been a staple of central New York since it opened up in 1911. People go there all the time with their kids or their significant others to go pick apples. But Beacon Skiff also has their foot in a lot of different beverages, whether it be selling apple cider at grocery stores or alcoholic ciders under the name 1911, again taken from when the company first opened. But once THC products were allowed to be sold in New York State, they were one of the first companies to start selling these products. Beacon Skiff and their Ayrloom lineup sells everything from ciders to lemonades to sodas to sparkling waters. So whatever you could possibly want, Ayrloom will have you covered. But I will have to admit something about Beacon Skiff. In terms of product, I see these sold and they are pretty expensive for what they are, just a cider. And the fancy sipper, although he is fancy, I'm not a horticulture person. And I personally couldn't tell you the difference between a Granny Smith and a Jazz apple or a Macintosh apple. So a lot of these drinks kind of taste the same to me. If you're going to be spending $12 on a different type of alcoholic cider, it is lost on me. I'm not really big into horticulture, as I said. But I am excited to try this, as these usually are the tastiest of the ciders and the tastiest of the THC-infused beverages that you can buy in New York State. One other thing that I have to make point of that only one company seems to do is there's a lot of lack of transparency in the industry in New York State, which kind of blows my mind. If you were to go to a bar, for example, and you were to buy a product like, let's say you were to buy a Miller, you would know the percentage of alcohol so that you could drink it and know like if you are going to be drunk or not. What New York State does, as long as the THC amount is within a certain ratio, they're allowed to sell it. Now, how do you know how much THC is in this drink? Well, you can't even look at the can until you buy it, and then you have to scan a QR code to find out what you're actually drinking, which is kind of insane. The only company that I know in New York State that will actually tell you how much THC, CBD, and all that is a company called Marijuana Farms New York, which I think saying that's kind of going to lose my monetization, but yeah, that's the only company that actually says how much THC or how much CBD is in the product. So with that, like you'd have to read this QR code, or you just have to take their word for it that there's 10 milligrams of THC and 5 milligrams of CBD. But what else is in this drink? Because I'm reviewing this for the taste of it specifically. If I were to want to get my money's worth, I would buy a tincture or edibles. But in this drink, you are getting 12 ounces, which is one serving size, 180 calories, 45 grams of carbohydrates, 16%, and 45 grams of sugar. You're getting 1% of your daily calcium and 6% of your daily potassium. They don't want you to drink this if you're pregnant or if you're going to drive. The ingredients are fresh cider, cranberry juice, concentrate, natural flavors, sorbet, cannabis extract, and ascorbic acid. The processing type is ethanol extraction and distillation. And it says to just drink one and see how you feel. That's everything that's on the can. They use this flat art design that I think is really gross and just kind of looks like your entry level 2010 era tech company design, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But this is what the drink looks like on the can. Every single product they have has these different flag colors with what I assume is supposed to be the sun, a cloud, and somebody flying on a hot air balloon. There it says that it is a CranApple beverage, and I don't know if that can be picked up or not, but it tells you what I already told you, that there's 10 milligrams of THC and 5 milligrams of CBD. So over here, this is all that information telling you not to drink this if you're pregnant. And over here, you have your nutrition facts. I'm not positive if this can be picked up, but you can scan the QR code if you're interested on what the fancy sipper is putting in his body. So that is everything that I have to say about Beacon, Skiff, and Ayrloom. If you ever want to visit Beacon, Skiff, and pick apples, I recommend going during the summertime when usually they have concerts there. Usually it's a bunch of elder emo bands or indie bands like the Shins or something like that, or Bright Eyes. Bands like that usually come through, honestly, which honestly is interesting because I wonder who the people that own Beacon Skiff are and what they are actually like to hang out with. But one more shout out that I want to give. Where I bought this was at a dispensary in Syracuse, New York called Vetalife, or Vetaleaf, I mean. If you are ever in the central New York area, I definitely recommend visiting them. They have by far the most polite and friendliest of all of the dispensaries in New York State that I visited. The people that work there will remember your name and actually be nice to you. And in terms of the prices, it's honestly pretty fair. You can usually buy products for $10 less than you would buy somewhere else in the area. So that is everything that I have to say about Ayrloom. Let's actually see how this tastes because that is what is most important. So right now I'm going to pour this into the fancy sip glass and let you know how this tastes. All right, so I'll throw in a little bit of ASMR for the fans of the fancy sip review. Get a nice little Ayrloom can shot for the sip cam. So let's see what is in this drink. So in terms of color, you are getting a lot of darkness coming from the bottom. Up at the top, it is a little bit lighter, and you can see a lot of carbonation and bubbles up here. Kind of looks like a wine. On the nose, you are getting a lot of smell of the apple cider. The number one ingredient in this is the apple cider, followed by the cranberry. And I'm really hoping that the ratio is 50-50. I'm hoping that this isn't like every other Ayrloom product in which it just tastes like apple. And I'm hoping that the cranberry actually shows through on this, but time will tell once I open this up. But this is what the drink looks like. The light that I have kind of makes it hard to see as it is reflecting off the glass. But it does just smell like apple cider, so I do not have my hopes too high. But who knows, this might be a good drink. The apple cider, I think, is the second best of the Ayrloom drinks. I think the best one is by far the lemonade. But let's give this a try. Let's see how this sits on the mouthfeel portion of the review. It is a bit on the bitter end, which is different than the regular cider flavor, the Honeycrisp. So with that, I don't know what kind of apple they are using for this. I would assume it's probably also the Honeycrisp apple, which they sell as a regular flavor, mixed with a little bit of the cranberry. But on the mouth, it is a bit tart. So I would assume that it's going to be a tart apple with some of the cranberry. I'm going to try this one more time. Just the mouthfeel. It's good. It is good in a different way. And I mean, I have to say, I was pretty negative in the start of the review. My hair is too long. I was pretty negative in the start of this review, saying that a lot of the Beacon Skiff products, usually they're alcoholic ciders, all taste kind of samey. What is good about this cranberry apple flavor is that if you want to drink a sweet apple cider, you can buy their Honeycrisp flavor. And if you want a bitter apple, I think the cranberry blends really well with the apple to give you a nice tart apple taste. So, I mean, Beacon Skiff is definitely throwing the most money into any of the other THC infused products in New York State. And they have everything at this point. If you want a vanilla Coke, they have that. If you want a Sprite, they have that. If you want a sweet apple cider, they have that. If you want a tart apple cider, if you want a lemonade, they pretty much have everything now. And in terms of flavor, I have to say, I think this is the second best of the Heirloom flavors. I wasn't the biggest fan, even though I gave it a very high rating, of the regular Honeycrisp THC cider. But I think this is probably the second best for sure drink they have after the lemonade. You can kind of taste the THC ingredient, but in terms of taste, it just tastes like a very tart apple. This is a very, very, very good drink. And I would recommend anybody who is watching this video, which can't imagine many people are, as I don't really get many views. But if you are to want to buy this, I do recommend going to that Veda Leaf place and picking this up from one of the very friendly bud tenders that work there. And honestly, it costs 50 cents less than it will anywhere else in New York State. Might even cost $1 less. So yeah, I mean, this is by far, I don't know, this might honestly be better than the lemonade. And it's going to be very tough to review this because, I mean, I already gave a 10 to the lemonade. If I give a 10 to this, I mean, my scale is already terrible. I give everything at least a 7. But this is a very good drink. And I'm sober when I'm reviewing this, so my opinion isn't warped by anything. This is just a very tasty apple cider beverage. And the cranberry really pairs well with it. I mean, again, I'm not a horticulture person. These are people that have been doing this since 1911. It's produced by Gen V Labs in Lafayette, New York. 180 calories, so I mean, you're getting a lot of calories in this, and only 12 ounces. We have fast acting, 10 milligrams of THC, 5 milligrams of CBD. A lot of people, when I review these kind of products, ask me to give my opinion on how I feel after drinking these. And I have to admit, it's really hit or miss in terms of these drinks. Because as I said in the start of this review, New York State really allows just the Wild West in terms of what is in the products. It's not like if you were to buy a beer. You don't really know what you're getting. You have to scan the QR code, and you can't even see the QR code until you already bought the products. So whoever's in charge of that is just putting no effort into figuring this out. I mean, they're going up and down the streets, closing all the black marketplaces, but they're not even investigating what the farmers are putting out. The only place that's doing that is MFNY. And yeah, I mean, this is delicious. I mean, at $4 or $5, I definitely recommend this just to try once, honestly. This is either the best or the second best product that Beacon Skiff has made. And if you're going to question why I'm sweating, I just jogged 3 miles before making this video. Don't ask why. But this is a very tasty beverage, and admittedly, Beacon Skiff and their Ayrloom line has been disappointing me time after time. After reviewing the seltzers, because those were the original only things that were released by Toon and Weed Water and whatever the other company was. Once Ayrloom came out and they started selling the lemonades and the ciders, I was curious if any other companies were going to compete with them. But as Ayrloom is able to come out with a new product every month and no other company is even trying to compete with them, I think not only do they have a monopoly, but they also are making really tasty products. So what will the fancy sipper be giving the Beacon Skiff Ayrloom CranApple? I think that I'm going to have to give this drink another 10 out of 10. I think Beacon Skiff really outdid themselves with this drink, and I think that I might like this more than the lemonade. I think just buying this and the lemonade are pretty much all you're ever going to need to try. But that is all I have to say for the Fancy Sip review. In following videos, I will look less sweaty, and I probably won't jog 3 miles and then just come home and make a THC beverage review. But yeah, this is a very good, very tasty beverage. I wish I could get this without it dropping on my computer. But yeah, I mean, everything about this is incredible. So I have been the Fancy Sipper. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are to review this, or if you are to just try this in general, please leave a comment. Tell me, what do you think about this? I admit that my reviews seem biased, as I gave this a 10 out of 10, but my average is 7, so I mean, it's a good drink. I don't think I would get sick of this. I think that it would be kind of like drinking, I don't know, like Mountain Dew Code Red or Voltage, where they're both really good drinks, but some days you might want one, some days you might want the other. This is a good drink. I have really no faults with this. I don't know. It's a good drink. So I've been the Fancy Sipper. Thank you so much for watching this video, and cheers. Clink.